everybody. With us this week, we have, well, first off, we're live. We haven't been live in a few months thanks to COVID, but Tamara McKenney, Mike Webster, Apponaug Brewery down in Warwick, Rhode Island. First and foremost, we appreciate you having us, and welcome to the show.
Thank you. We love being here.
Thanks for having us.
Absolutely. So, I mean, first and foremost, we love the brewery. We're big fans of the brewery, big fans of the restaurant. We'd love to know, what is Apponaug Brewery, who is Mike Webster, and who is Tamara McKenney?
All right, we'll begin with Apponaug Brewing Company. The idea of Apponaug came in about 2015. Get ready to be an empty nester. Anyone get ready to be an empty nester? It's like, no, I need to do one more thing. More importantly, my husband was getting ready to retire. Definitely good for the marriage, but I did one more thing. And I've fallen in love with the craft brewing culture, the community, and hospitality is really my jam. So that combination of, brewing, beer culture, talking to people about beer, drinking beer, and hospitality just felt like a really great intersection. So when we went to open it, a brewpub felt like the right thing to do for what my vision for Apponaug is. I refer to it as my tripod. It is food, beer, and community, and wanted it to be an experience when people drank their beer. I wanted to be part of that, what they did, when they did it. I want them to be drinking it at home when they weren't working. That has changed a little bit during COVID. People now drink their beer a whole lot, but at the time that was really and one of the other things I really wanted was to have a really large outdoor beer garden. I love to be outside and eating and drinking outside. There you go. That's the beginning of that.
That's a great intro. Mike, let's go to you. How'd you get here? What's your Apponaug story, and who are you?
As you guys said before, Mike Webster. Been at Apponaug almost a year. I've been in brewing since 2014, so going on 8 years, 5th as a brewer. I came across Apponaug just looking through some opportunities in the industry. Came down, visited a spot with Tam, Chris, and Tam's husband Jim. Was really impressed about the space and basically the intention of having community being a really foremost priority with the business and for the beer, because that's a big thing for me. Is I've always believed as a brewer, providing a product for people to share with and enjoy with people they really want to surround themselves with. So as we got to know each other more throughout that interview, it became really prevalent to me that our intentions were aligned with how we wanted to project the beer that we'll be putting out in front of people.
Right. We'll dive in. Tamara, you mentioned plenty of different things. You mentioned the tripod. You mentioned the empty nester mentality. I want to start there, right? Yeah. Your decision to open Apponaug, day one. Take us through what was going through your mind. You mentioned in the days leading up to this interview that, just wanted a little bit more culture, right? And how did Apponaug start from that mentality?
What I always have to tell people is I was a business person who loved beer, who opened a brewery. Very different than many other people's journey who were brewers who opened a brewery. So it had to work on paper, definitely worked on paper, but I love the brewing culture. I love going to different breweries, talking to people, brewpubs, or, it is a culture that I find where barriers get broken down. Political barriers, particularly in our polarized culture, disappear, where people will go to the mattresses about a lager and IPA, not about politics, not about that. So for me, the culture around beer is one that I just love. And if you're then in that culture, I think it will resonate with people. They never will. And I wanted to do one more thing. My husband and I had owned a few companies, and I really wanted to do one more thing that was very fun. Brewing in the beer culture was a little bit irreverent. It was different than having a restaurant. So I wanted to do hospitality, but brewing felt a little, there's room for being a little more irreverent. That was really my attraction to opening a brewery.
Now, in terms of the craft beer scene, what was your first initial introduction to it? Was there a specific brewery, a specific beer that you had that you're like, okay, you know, I like craft beer, and what was that took you to the next edge of like, I really want to be a part of it?
Remember, oh man, I've had so many beers.
Yeah.
That would be really hard.
Yeah.
That'll be hard for me to pinpoint. But here's a very funny story, and it is it will go back to where you were before at
Which
one?
Little small way.
Jim and I were in the tap room. My husband and I, we had gone out. It was like a day trip or maybe an overnight, and we met a couple out at the bar and just started talking to them. And this guy, they were like on a 4-day trip, and they were talking about different beers. And we were talking about places we got what we liked. He was like, "Oh, come on out." And we went out. This guy's like opening up his car, and he was handing us beer after beer after beer. And that was like what they did. They just packed their car full of beer, and then they drove around and met people, and then gave them beer that they loved. And
What's this guy's name?
yeah, you know, you have to be old. You look sad that he wanted to give us beer. Like, but for me, you don't ever find that in any other culture. You don't find that willingness of people to. I've never found it in any other restaurant culture. You certainly don't find it in high tech. You know, I have come out of high tech, and you're never going to talk to a competitor and say, "Oh, hey man, can you help me out? I got trouble with this code." No. Whereas in brewing culture, people will help you out all the time. They'll talk to you all the time. They share things, whether it be the people who brew the beer or drink the beer. And so for me, that's the culture around beer that I really like. People don't take. Some people are serious. It's not like we're not serious about how we make the beer, but you can't only be so serious when you drink beer, or more than that.
Now, do you remember that interaction?
When
you guys first met? Yeah.
Oh yeah, vividly. I mean, it was really hot that day. We sat outside. We went inside because it was so warm, and you know, the interview was going well. You know, you're having an interview, and it's like it goes a little bit longer, and you know, hour 1 goes to hour 2, and you're like, all right, I think this is going somewhere. So that's where we were, and yeah, we just got to know, you know, one another more, and you know, conversation went from professional to kind of like personal, like learning more about each other, and just got a good vibe for how we would work together.
Yeah, and Mike, we'll transition to your background now. You've been at 2 places that are, you know, they make some of the best IPAs in the nation, let alone, you know, New England. Treehouse and Fox Farm. You can get both around here. I love Fox Farm beer. Will and I are huge fans. Here, though, you created this beer program essentially from the ground up. What were some of the things that you took away from those experiences that led you to the success that you're having here?
I think the 2 biggest things that I would say were takeaways from both places really are creating a product that people can gather around, that people want to share with others and go to a place to have. And then the other is really just kind of creating beer that is not only flavor forward, but soft and approachable. That's not going to, you know, knock someone back where like it's going to, you might not be able to have another one. I always want someone to be able to feel like, all right, I can have another one, or I want another one. Maybe I shouldn't, but I'm going to come back for it.
Right. And, you know, the whole stigma of brew pubs don't make good beer, right? That's it's been clearly as
I mean, the Alchemist was a brew pub.
Right.
And Hetty Topper lit the world on fire before anybody.
Yeah. So that's, you know,
I think John Kimmich would argue that pretty quickly.
Right.
So with Vinny from Russian River,
Exactly.
There's Alpine. I mean, I could go on and on and on.
Yeah. So
but yeah, that is a real stigma.
Right.
But, you know.
What did you guys do to try to, you know, was that the real thing when you guys started this, you know, understanding where you might be perceived in the market? And, you know, if so, you know, what was kind of the action for you guys of trying to break everybody's stigma of like, you know, oh, it's a brew pub, they serve food, they don't really make good beer. What were your thoughts there?
I didn't really give a shit. It was really mostly, you have to be confident in what you're making and believe in it. I believe in the beer that we're putting out profoundly. So we're going to keep on doing the best work that we can. I mean, I put a lot into this beer. Our assistant brewer, Rob, puts a lot into this beer. Tam, Chris, Jim, Jamie, one of our bar managers, give us a lot of support. So we all, you know, it's a full-fledged effort for this. So it's really, that's the biggest thing is, you know, all you can do is put your best foot forward.
Right. Absolutely. And I mean, the beer is incredible.
Oh, it is.
We're having
yes.
some beer right now. So first off, I mean, let's see. Well, I think we should cheers
Oh, yeah.
while we're here. So first off, thank you for having us.
Cheers,
And
guys.
second off, what are we drinking and what's on tap at Apponaug at the moment?
That's the ways. Talk about that.
So yeah, Thousand Ways is an iteration off of a hop we used with our first Far Be It series. Far Be It is a experimental series that we do. So the first one we did used a hop called Waikiki. It's a really soft New Zealand-based hop. When we made that, found that I really liked the bitterness and the mouthfeel that it provided. So we use that as basically the base of Thousand Ways while using some of the more bold, higher alpha flavor, fruit flavored forward hops to complement it.
So you guys, Mike, your program that you run over here, you've described it, you've described it in the way that you did, building it from the ground up, understanding what you needed to do, Was there anything like, we've got to make a really good IPA, we've got to make a really good lager to start, like the origins of your beer program and how it's evolved, where are you trying to fit in terms of, style and that kind of stuff?
I think what we're trying to be, at least where I'm trying to, I guess, have us be it with Tam's support, is making a really respectable program around, again, drinkability. The biggest thing for me is lager. I love lager. I mean, lagers have been being consumed for 500, 600 years. I've been to Czech Republic. I've gone all over to try these different kinds of beers. You have to make IPA just because it's taken over the world, and people love them. I love them. It's a wonderful style that's fun to make because it's new. You can make these different iterations of it. You can be, you can kind of go off the wall with it, or you can just stick right to what you know, or somewhere in the middle, and see what you get.
If you guys didn't play in the IPA space, do you think you'd be as successful as you were? And that goes for anyone. Do you think any brew pub would be successful without an IPA offering?
Yeah, I do. I mean, I wouldn't say I wouldn't be able to say for certain if they're a brew pub or not, but Notch, they do session beer, and a lot of it is lager, and it's one of my favorite breweries on earth. I think if you have a good business model and you have a good brewer who's believing what they're doing, you're going to be successful. I mean, you can't be too frivolous and careless. You have to be smart. Tam sometimes reels me into things that I want to go for, and she's like, "Well, let's settle down. We're going to get there. Just one thing at a time, which is good because I want to do everything all at once." But yeah, I think you certainly can be successful without having to do IPAs. But if people just want to do IPAs, I mean, I've always believed people should just have what they like. If you like IPAs, have IPAs. I mean, I'm encouraged to always have more different things, but I wouldn't say that you have to be confined to a box as a brewer or as a consumer.